Simple and Out has a ton of ways to automatically update your status based on you carrying your phone around in real life areas. It's one of our most popular features. And we have features like geofences that allow you to draw circles around a map and be able to update when you cross the boundaries. We also have features like networks, which allow you to automatically update your status when you connect or disconnect from your office Wi Fi. Today, we're going to discuss a third technology we have that allows us to automatically update our status, and this is called beacons. Now, beacons are little tiny Bluetooth emitters that emit a Bluetooth signal into the air that your phone can see. And when your phone sees that signal, it knows, hey, I must be in this location. Let me update my status to in. And when this phone no longer sees the signal, it can automatically update your status to out. So this has some advantages and disadvantages when it comes to geofences and networks. The first biggest advantage you can kind of see on my screen right here, beacons are smaller. So beacons are based on Bluetooth technology. Bluetooth only really emits a signal that goes 10 to 20 meters in any direction, depending on things like wireless interference and or walls. And so this allows you to be a little bit more strategic about where you place them because they're a lot smaller. You can also piggyback these, several of them, stitch them together, similar to stitching together larger Wi-Fi, where you can have a lot of little Bluetooth emitters all emitting the same signal, blanketing an area like you see down here. The other big advantage of beacons over the other two technologies is that beacons are a little bit more portable. You can bring a beacon with you to things like, conference rooms, trade shows, temporary office space. We've even had customers use these in vehicles. So they're smaller that you can bring along as long as you have a piece of beacon hardware and it is emitting constant power. You can set up a beacon almost anywhere. So, of course, disadvantage wise, because they are so much smaller and because they do require dedicated hardware, they are not a fit for everyone. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to assume that beacons make sense for your organization. So, we're going to take a look at how to configure them in Simple and Out. So, I'm going to go ahead and click Settings in the upper right. And I'm going to come down here to Beacons on the left. And here are my beacons. Administrators can create beacons and create the rules that beacons operate underneath. And so that's what we're going to look at doing here first. I'm an administrative level user here. So as you can see, I already have a beacon, but let's go ahead and create a new beacon. Now, the first thing that happens when I click Add Beacon, you're going to notice right off the top, there's a big warning at the top here that says hardware is required. Just because we're creating beacons here and the settings that accompany them does not obviously mean we have a beacon. You still need to purchase this physical beacon hardware. You need to configure that beacon hardware and you need to deploy that beacon hardware. We do have a separate video on how to configure beacon hardware using one of the more popular beacon hardware providers that we support. Any beacon hardware provider that supports the iBeacon standard and allows for constant power transmission will work with Simple and Out as long as you check those two boxes. So we do have a hardware's buyer's guide where we do have links to some people who provide them. Ultimately, though, you'll be on your own to find a hardware provider that you can utilize. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to come up with a name. So in this case, let's give this thing a name. Let's call this the East Office. And we will go ahead and do that. And then you'll see down here, we have this big ugly thing called UUID. Now, this is a technical description of something that beacons require. This is essentially the identifier that the beacon is transmitting under. So in this case, we're of course going to leave this alone. This is what we'll need to give to the hardware when we go ahead and configure it. So I'll hit create beacon. And that's it. Now we have our East Office beacon. Now, if I click on the East Office beacon here, I can configure some additional parameters. So I control the beacon's behavior in Simple and Out. So here, when my phone sees this signal in the air, it will check my status to in with a comment of in at East Office. When it no longer sees the signal in the air, it can check me out with a comment of left East Office. So as a default, this is a really good solution. Now I can make changes here, of course. I can change which status checks me into or out of as it comes and goes. I can even set this to off. So maybe I want, for example, a beacon to check me in and give me a really good comment, but maybe I don't want it to check me out at all. That way I just come and go through these beacons and it's checking me in and I have some other mechanism to check me out. Again, your mileage may vary here. It allows for a lot of flexibility. For now, we're going to keep these settings because these settings tend to make the most sense, I believe. Okay, so now let's take a look at what this will look like on our phone. So here I have my phone application open here with Simple and Out, and I'm going to click on the settings. And then I'm going to go into automatic status updates. Now, once I'm in automatic status updates here, if I haven't yet, I'll need to enable automatic updates. So I'm going to flip the switch. When I do, you'll see it'll ask us for a series of permissions we need in order to make Simple and Out automatic status updates working. In this case, it'll also ask me for notifications because if it fails for some reason, we want to receive a notification about that failure. Other things you might be asked for here is the ability to see your location. Even though beacons are Bluetooth enabled, uh, both Apple and Google still consider that location information. And because of that, we need to ask for those things. Also, we need to be able to run in the background so that, of course, you don't have to have the application open as you're walking around interacting with this beacon. So here we have all of our stuff. I'm going to click on beacons here. And as you can see, we have our East Office beacon. And if I tap on that, that'll tell the users what it is. And I just flip the switch to enable. And that's it. Now my beacon is enabled. I'm the Simple and Out app on my phone. When my phone sees that signal, it'll check me in this case, with a comment of in East Office. And when I lose that signal, it'll check me out with a comment of left East Office. It's pretty automatic. Of course, we do have a search for beacon link down here as well. You can utilize this when you're configuring your beacons. That allows you to see if you've configured them correctly, whether or not you can see the signal in the air. If I tap this, for example, right now, this will not see the signal because I haven't actually set up a piece of hardware yet. So this will look around for a little bit and go, hey, I can't see your signal. I'm sorry, as it attempts to locate the beacon here in the environment that I'm in right now. Exactly. So beacons and Simple and Out. It's pretty swell. Now let's take a look at how you can utilize one of your tablets running either our application front desk or application time clock to behave like a beacon. Because if you have that tablet sitting at your front desk or in your vestibule or your break room, and it's already running 24/7 our application in order for your users to interact with it, then of course we can utilize, if it has the appropriate beacon hardware built into it, and most do, to be able to make it act like a beacon. So this is great for using hardware you're already utilizing, but it's also really good for testing. So you can use this to test whether or not beacons can work for you or how they can utilize them around your office without having to invest in any additional hardware. So here I am in front desk in this case, but this also works in time clock. And I tapped on the gear icon in order to get into the settings area. Now, when you tap on the gear icon, you're going to be asked for your credentials, administrator credentials, because of course we can't just let anybody into the backend settings area. But once you're in the settings area, it'll look like this. And of all these settings down here, I can go down to beacons. And if I tap on beacons here, you'll see I have beacons, including my new East Office beacon as well. And if I want this tablet to act as a hardware beacon as well as a tablet, all I do is tap to activate this East beacon. And now this tablet is broadcasting a beacon signal using the Bluetooth hardware that's already built within it. And as long as the screen stays on and our application stays in the foreground, this will behave like a beacon 24/7. So this is pretty swell. In order to do this, you'll just need an iPad. Virtually all iPads Apple builds come with this hardware, and you would need an appropriate Android tablet that has Bluetooth low energy technology built within it. So this is a great way to test them without purchasing hardware.